Mind your goddamn business.
Today we have with us what I believe to be one of, if not our most cherished and special guest.
Absolutely.
Sean is visiting us from... I'm kidding, no. We have Matt in the house today. Matt is a friend of the pod. He is our very esteemed co-host's partner at Kesho.
Co-founder. Yes.
I believe the brainchild of Kesho, in fact. Wink, wink.
Well,
Solo founder of the organization, but
I'm some.
he's the engine. Before we go into more context who Matthew is and how special he is to Kesho and of course in my life, I believe you have a very pertinent question.
I do.
For Matthew.
I do. I have a little cheeky pertinent question for Matthew. Matthew, what's a completely unnecessary opinion you're unreasonably passionate about?
yo, that's actually a tough one.
Is it?
Is that a tough one?
What's a completely unreasonable opinion that I'm...
What's a hill that you're going to die on?
But it's like so dumb.
Like it's something that you
You
like,
really shouldn't.
Other people would be like, what? What do you even mean by that?
Soda water?
To be honest, I think sparkling water, actually.
Yeah, no, but that actually is 100%
That is-
your
I'm
one.
not, like, I think sparkling water. Like, Nick thought that, like, I have an addiction.
Oh, wow.
Like a problem.
Like, I buy, what, 2 liters of sparkling water every day of my life.
Not every day.
Every time I go to the shops to buy food to cook, I buy a 2-liter bottle
I
of
think you
sparkling
do have a
water.
problem.
Yeah, so I had to get a soda stream. I had to.
Oh, that's how you got the soda stream.
That's how I got the soda
Circumvent
stream.
having to buy the...
To be fair, but I had to convince him to get the soda stream.
No way.
Because there were just so many empty bottles in our flat. You could make a raft, nay, a ship out of all of the empty sparkling water bottles we had lying around the house. So because me and Matthew do live together as well. So it's so I'm so glad you got the soda stream just for a recycling point.
No, I mean,
just for
I'm
the
also,
planet.
you know how much money I'm saving as well. Like, cheapest.
I can imagine.
Jeez, I can't imagine. Because, I mean, that is an interesting one. But why is it a hill you're willing to die on? Is everyone against your kind of...
There's a lot more people than you think.
Yeah.
Because, like, sparkling water is one of those things where you either love it or it tastes like TV static.
Yes.
Like, there's
Why is it
literally
angry water.
no
Angry
in between.
water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so accurate. Oh my God.
And a lot of people that I know think it tastes like TV static. I think I'm a crazy person.
It's quite funny. I was at a... Where was I yesterday? I was at a cafe, and then someone was taking a bottle of water, and then the barista came over and said, "That's sparkling." And the guy was like, "Oh, thank God. Thank you for telling me." It was like, oh my word. So
I was
think
actually... I was in a
yeah.
restaurant the other day, and I don't know if this is a London thing or just across the board, but what they've started doing is that restaurants have gotten soda stream, right? And soda streams in the restaurants, or the equivalent of a soda stream, and they take tap water, put it through the soda stream, and they charge you £15 for it.
No way.
Mate, if I'm coming to a restaurant, I want that San Pellegrino.
Right?
I can make my soda stream at home. Like, what?
I was kind of like, guys, that's kind of shady.
That's
That's
nuts.
unscrupulous.
Yeah. Do you have an opinion off the bat, Evander?
Oh, about the hill.
The hill that you would die on.
A hill that I'm probably willing to die on is that I don't dress for the weather. I dress for how I feel.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
That's why you're sick all the time.
That's so true. That is so true.
Makes so much.
Like I'll wear like a skimpy little crop top thong thing,
Yeah,
and it'll be like -10.
Yeah, you live in London. Yeah. You look great. We love you in the
I need to
thong.
probably check that out. Yeah, but that's my thing.
Yeah,
Everyone's
no,
always
sure.
like, "Why are you wearing a jumper? It's 25 degrees." I'm like, felt like a
Yes.
jumper. It was jumper kind of day.
Yeah.
And the converse is true as well. So I don't dress for the weather. I dress for how I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's yours?
That doesn't seem practical, though.
It's not. No one said anything about practicalities. We were talking about unnecessary.
There's no practicality
definitely
in emotions, I guess.
Yeah.
It's definitely unnecessary.
Yeah.
100%.
What's yours, Chief?
Mine is that I think I've given up on style, on trend. So like
You have. I can fully confirm this.
gonna
You
take-
have 3 shirts And you rotate.
No, and they're all white shirts.
And
They're all
no.
white
He
t-shirts.
throws in a grain. He
Yes.
throws a grain every so often.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I'm
This
so
is my
glad
Kesho
you guys
shirt.
got some kind of merch in the form of shirts, because God knows Nick needs
You know what?
shirts in his
I
life.
think it's because I've like decided I'm never going to keep up with trend. Like it's never going to be a thing. So I'm going to pick one style and go with that until I'm like 60.
Yeah.
You know, so that's kind of white. You can't go wrong with like boots and jeans and a white t-shirt. You can fit into
You know
most
what?
scenarios in that.
That's
like,
pretty spot on. Steve
Yeah.
Jobs had the same thing.
Oh, really?
He was like, I want to remove optionality
Yes.
from what I wear because it saves me time and allows me to think about other things.
Yes.
So all I'm going to wear is a turtleneck, jeans, and a pair of sneakers.
Me and Steve Jobs have as many things to think about. So that's why I've
Basically
employed
the same
same
guy.
person,
It
almost
just
like the
merged into-
reincarnation
yeah,
of Steve Jobs. Yeah.
So actually, fair enough. That's actually a smart hill to die on.
Yeah, maybe it is.
I would say that's
yeah.
quite a smart hill. Producer, do you have one? Nah. Anyways, who
Fuck that guy.
the fuck is he? So I think going to, and more importantly, is we need to figure out what this relationship is,
Yes.
how it came to be, and how you guys have fared up until now. So, Matt, can we get a little lowdown on who you are, where you come from, what your vibe is?
Okay. Obviously, I'm Matt.
Good job.
Yeah,
Sure, we're
Nick,
calling that the wrong guy.
Nick and I are family cousins.
Nice.
I love that you guys are cousins, by the way. I love that you guys did that. That's an aside.
Yeah, I mean,
We'll
look,
get into it.
it's obviously like it can go either way, right? Like going to business with family it can either go really well or it can go really badly. And I mean, I suppose that obviously depends on like your shared values and what you agree on and what you don't agree on and how you operate. Anyways, I'll get into that. And yeah, so I'm obviously from South Africa, from Cape Town and Johannesburg. And like, I think in terms of background, especially with, bringing Kesho to light, is like we have a very philanthropic family background.
I believe so. Nick has mentioned that a couple of times.
And like a lot of our family members have played a massive part in giving back and starting up charities. I mean, our late uncle, he started Akwezi, which is a school, and he built a church in Betty's Bay for the community, which is like incredible. So yeah, we have a very, very like philanthropic background to the family, and I think that naturally, I will kind of always wanted to give back and go down that route. And when it came to Nick and I, starting the charity together, we kind of moved in together when I did like my first short 2-month stint in London.
I remember that.
It was to like test it out, test
Yeah.
the waters.
Test the
To
waters
test
of London.
to live with Nick or living in London?
I mean, to be honest, both, really.
How could he deal with Nick?
Deal with this man.
Yeah.
It was to test the waters in London. To test the waters in London. I just left the role back in Cape Town, and I was doing some freelancing work, and which gave me the opportunity to kind of go overseas and travel and explore. So I kind of moved in, and thankfully, Carl, God bless him, he left the flat.
Carl, that is still one of the greatest losses I've ever experienced in my life. Carl leaving your flat was devastating for me.
He was to come from miles around for those chicken wings.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And for one reason only.
Yeah.
Carl is the greatest man that has ever held tongues and
Yes.
stood over a grill.
We're gonna have to clip this and send this to Carl because.
Oh my gosh, this man made me chicken wings. I could see sounds and I could hear colors after eating those chicken
Yeah.
wings. They
So-
were so good.
Besides the chicken wings, Matthew's been a fantastic. We
lost a great one.
Yeah, but he's been a great flat.
Do you make chicken wings? Oh, we can get into that.
To be honest, Nick makes the chicken wings.
Yeah.
Nick
No
makes,
way.
Nick makes chicken wings like 4 or 5 times a week.
Yeah, I do.
You eat chicken wings 4 or 5 times a week?
Yeah.
What kind of household is this?
It's actually a fast food restaurant. We live in a KFC.
That's a crazy ratio of chicken wing making.
Yeah, no, it's a lot.
Okay.
But yeah, so Matthew, we started living together, and I think we both had similar ideas about starting something, starting a non-profit of some capacity. And then, do you want to tell the story of one Friday afternoon?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's a little context to that.
What's the context of Friday?
Because we've obviously spoken about it a lot, getting into like giving back to charities. How do we work with a charity? How can we start? What do we do in London?
Guys, also, can I say, it really is quite incredible that you've just done the philanthropic charity thing. Like, I know you say you guys come from like a thoroughbred line of like charitable people, but I don't see any reason why you continue to do it. The fact that you have is really quite admirable. I must just say that as an aside.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, go on.
We're just great guys.
You really are. Stellar boys.
And then I mean, Thomas, there was a stage kind of beginning of last year where, I was in quite a tough place with work, and I was like brand new to London. I was trying to find my feet and settle in. And I mean, Nick also having a tough time at work, and
I hated my job so much.
I've never lived in a place where people could complain so much about their day-to-day lives over a short space of time.
That's what's up.
And also, we were living underground. It was a tough time.
The worst flat ever.
Oh, you guys were living in one of those
Basement,
people that don't
baby.
know, there's a lot of flats in London that have I don't know why it is. It's just potentially maybe like a World War II thing, but there are a lot of underground flats. So literally, the building will go underground and there'll be full on flat there, but it's
Yes.
no light.
Yeah, so
Ever.
imagine, so we were underground,
Kinda
and
stanky.
the window where you can see here, at the top there, that was our window. That was all earth. When I lay down on the couch, watching TV, and my ear was against the pillow, I could hear the tube,
God, no.
the tube going down underneath us. So he was having a tough time at work. I was having a tough time at work. We were living in this hamster cage underground. So it was a pretty weird place. And then
Yeah, and then to be fair, as much as I was having a tough time at work, we ended work at 3:00 on a Friday, which was great because I was spending less time at work during the week, right? So, and I was lying on the couch and Nick was working because Nick would work till 7:00 on a Friday, which was crazy, crazy to me.
What?
Yeah.
And they would tell him he was working half days on Friday because that was their policy, and then he wouldn't work half days.
They hooked you with a little stupid little treat, half days and Fridays, and you were like,
here's a jelly bean.
coming.
Oh, we don't get the jelly bean today. And you never get the jelly bean.
it's crazy that they did that.
And we've been talking about going into charity, working with a charity, how can we support them? And then we talked about starting our own charity. And I was we had this conversations a couple of times over the initial time that I was here. And then on one Friday, I had a really bad day. And I actually just ended work early because I actually can't deal with this anymore. I was lying on the couch and I was watching series, and I just got up and I was like, Nick, let's just do it right now.
I love that energy.
I was like, let's just start. And I was I'm not working for the day, so let me just see what I can find. Can I do a website? Let's do it right now. Let's just do it right now.
Bro, can we just pause there? Because I think that's a fucking good point. A really, really great point about the right now mentality.
Yeah.
The right now mentality is probably one of the most underrated mentalities you can have.
Oh, absolutely.
Because everyone wants to kick the can down the road with everything. I'll do that tomorrow. Oh, no, I'll get to it. And what happens 10 years later, you have a mortgage and 2 kids, and all of a sudden, everything's thrown out the window.
Yes.
The right now guys are the guys that get things done and always succeed. So the fact that you did that, kudos, my friend.
So good, but I guess it was also a culmination of a lot of different things coming at once. It was frustrations. We were living together. We had the idea, and then Matthew was like, "We're doing it now. We're doing it now." And then I think we workshopped names, so we came up with a bunch of different names. So it was we had Kesho Collective. We liked the idea. We liked the word collective, so we wanted to kind of use that. And there was Kesho Collective, which meant that I think I've explained this on the pod before, but I'm going to go again. It was we thought it was a cool idea, and we'd made Legos, and
Legos.
Legos.
we made Legos.
We spent the last 6 months building Lego.
Yeah,
We made Legos.
We built Legos. That's actually what Kesho Collective does. We made logos. We built logos, Legos.
Legos.
And then
Naja boy.
and then we found out that actually Ankasa is a river in Ghana where apparently gnomes eat people. So we're okay, that's not a great
Gnomes?
idea.
Oh, no, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Gnomes exist?
Well, apparently I don't
Gnomes?
know. In Ghana, apparently yes. Yeah.
Isn't gnome things you put in the garden?
Yes. Yeah.
Quite-
They eat people.
quite
Yeah.
literally.
Oh, so you mean it's probably like little people?
No, I think it's just mythology.
Aha,
Yes,
I got it.
But anyway, so that was the idea.
I was running with that one. Okay, cool. Gnomes.
But anyway, so we had that, and then we got to Kesho, which means tomorrow in Swahili.
Yeah.
And I think that was the
was great.
the right one to go to.
I love that name, by the way. I think it's such a good name, and I think it encapsulates what you guys are trying to do really, really well. I would love to ask you, Matt, one thing is always, like you said, family, tough, whatever, starting a business could go either way. What's the hardest thing about working with Nick? But also, equally, what is the best thing about working with Nick?
Well, I mean, there's not one particular thing. Like,
About the hardest thing? There is so many.
There's so many terrible things.
How long is this podcast?
it's almost like when you're at school, you're doing a group project, and then someone doesn't do any work.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa.
You know what that saying is, when I die, can you invite all the guys I've done a group project with so they can let me down one more time? That's Nick.
Okay, I feel like I'm not getting thanks for the best now.
No, what?
Yeah, but to be fair, Matthew does a lot of very, very good work for Kesho.
Yeah.
Not all of it, about 50% of it.
You know what I think? Can I just add another thing? I think Nick, much like Steve Jobs, actually, and I hate, like, this is a wild fact that I'm comparing, but anyway,
Yeah.
much like Steve Jobs, Nick is a big idea guy. Nick is not in the minutia detail. Like, he doesn't want to do like the little admin, little annoying things. Nick is the guy that can bring a big idea forward and present it well, bring it together really nicely. So I think if you know that about Nick, you know how to navigate that really well, and then that's when you can make something really fantastic. That's just my.
I couldn't. If I were to describe myself, I'd say the same thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And like Steve Jobs did the same thing. He wasn't in the developing coding. He was really the big idea type of guy, and you know those are the guys that really push the envelope. But the guys like you, the little runners, little worker bees,
The hamster on the wheel.
yeah, we need you.
that background stuff.
To be fair, I mean, I think we've had some really, really good ideas to take Kesho forward. I think it's probably 50-50 in terms of what ideas we've brought on and how we've done it. But I will say that Matthew's definitely better at the admin stuff.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as a budget comes up, I go, and then Matthew's like, okay, guess it is on me. But yeah, that's definitely been a big part of, I think, how we work together.
No, I mean, I agree, and it's like, just to go back to your point about Nick being the big idea stuff. And when we started, it was like, cool, what do we do first? And we had the first event, it was very successful. And then Nick goes, okay, well, let's do this, that. And I'm like, Nick, like, let's just get to the next 6 months, you know? Like, we're in the testing phase of whether we can like continuously grow this, and is it going to be sustainable or not?
Steve Wozniacki, you're the guy, the day-to-day guy, the grind. I see this dynamic now.
It's actually such a good point, Matthew, because that's exactly what happened. Because I was like, oh, we do this, and we do this, and we do this. And then Matthew was like, let's accomplish 3 things this year. And it was like, host successful events, bring in monthly donors, and what is the third one? I can't remember. I think it was actually just get our finances sorted, which I think we've done.
It's Shaq and Kobe. You need your 2 dynamics, I swear, create the greatest things. It's Shaq and Kobe. You need the guy that's a day-to-day guy, and you need the big ideas guy. The 2 work in tandem so well.
Absolutely. I'm Kobe, but yeah, sure. But cool, yeah. Absolutely.
But like, okay, so that's, I guess, I assume that was like the hard part about working with Nick. What's the easy part? What's the thing you love so much? Like the part that gets you all giddy, makes your stomach warm, gets butterflies. What's that part?
Because Nick is very, very good at getting things done. Like he's super, super honest.
Me and our producer are like, side eye.
Look, he's late for everything. That's a given. Yeah. Okay, let me backtrack.
Please backtrack away.
The Comedy Central roast of Nicholas Carlos was great.
I think Nick's ability to communicate with our partners is what I really appreciate about Nick and Kesho. Is he's so good at communicating and keeping that communication relationship up with our partners.
Love. I could definitely see that. Because one thing I was saying, and I was actually speaking to our friend the other day about this, Nick is great at triangulating and also circulating conversations and topics and discussions and communicating in such a way that isn't painful, if I could say that, or he doesn't cross a line that makes you feel like the interaction is unpleasant. He always knows where to toe. I think, again, super hard trait. And people underestimate that trait.
I appreciate that.
But it's a super hard trait to get in.
Sure.
Sean, I was talking about with you, actually. Nod in approved. Yes, thank you. So yeah, it's amazing that you picked that up as well. The fact that he is that guy. Okay, so sure the other foot.
Sure the other foot.
Matt. Shitty thing and great thing.
I think there's a lot there, But I've always said that the way that we complement each other in terms of our skills are so good, and there's so much knowledge that Matthew brings that I don't quite understand. So that when it comes to the nuggets of like how do we what does this post look like, when it comes to the digital marketing side, when it comes to how we frame. So I'll be like, let's frame it like this, and Matthew will be like, that's an awful idea. And because we have such good communication, and Matthew isn't afraid to tell me, there's such good honesty there. But I think the big thing is Matthew gets things done. There's a part where I'll be like, oh, let's do this, let's do that, and it's Matthew will be like, oh, the website's been designed. And I'll be like, what?
Wow.
When did you do that? It's like, oh yeah, I just did it yesterday afternoon, and it's done, and it's perfect, and it looks beautiful.
And he hasn't been able to do much Kesho work, and then I've picked up a lot of the slack. But there's also been times when I've been really busy to work, and I've done nothing for like 6 weeks, and Nick has done everything, posting every week, like doing all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
I've always thought about it as two pistons moving,
Yes.
and when the one piston slacks off, then the other piston takes over,
So there's a lot of give and take in that sense.
That's a good description. Fine.
That's how I've always
Okay.
felt.
So there's no
Kesho
like
works.
this deep resentment of. So I feel like I'm being Yoko Ono in this situation.
Yeah,
I'm the Beatles, like, what is the problem that you have?
No, trying to find the crack. No, but to be fair, and I think this is why it's worked so well up until now. It's that like we've worked on things that we are both good at. What we are good at in particular. When it comes to putting the website together, Matthew's done a gazillion websites. So if you go into keshocollective.com, the website looks amazing. The colors are great. It's informative. It's so easy to pick up. But then when it comes to sponsorship, I manage that sponsorship relationship because I know sponsorship. I come from that background. So we do have these complementing skills that make it work quite well.
I love that little plug there. If you go to keshocollective.com,
If you go to keshocollective.com and then go to donate and then say £1,000.
little free plug there, you little
yes.
grifter you. Okay, so then that's like the basis of the way you guys interact, and it seems like you guys have really great synergy, and it seems like you guys have a solid base. And I think that stems from partly being family, but also partly just being close in general.
Yeah.
What will then be the thing that you say was the Mount Everest in your Kesho journey? The thing that you were like, geez, I don't know if we can do it. But you got there. You were the Sir Edmund Hillary of
CICs.
Yeah. CICs, yeah.
CICs, yeah.
What's been the toughest part that you've really, really found difficult to get your head around? And the thing you're like, you know what, I really don't want to do this.
I don't think about what I don't want to. There's two things.
Okay.
There's a lot of like regulations that you got to jump through to get the charity up. Like there's a lot of documentation, a lot of paperwork, and there's stuff that comes up that you don't realize you haven't done. So it's a really big learning curve for us. And the second thing is actually the stress around the events is quite tough.
True, because you guys are throwing physical events. Like people have to be present.
Exactly, and it's like when we were starting running our first 3 events, like we could have just been a flash in the pan on the first event, and then no one arrived for the second one. So it's that hour before the event starts. It's like, what if no one shows up? It's like, and that for me is like I can't deal with that because I'm a highly anxious person, and that is like really that's very very straining on me.
It's actually quite funny. Yeah, no, that's actually such a good point, and it's something I haven't brought up on the pod previously. But there's that. Me and Matthew have this tradition that if our events are always on a Saturday, on Friday night, like because most of the time we haven't sold out by Friday night.
Because South Africans, they're late.
They're always. So we have this tradition. We go out, we sit up. We've done everything we can now. There's nothing more we can do, and then we sit there. We have a pint, and we put our phones on the table and just watch the tickets roll through. And it's such a nice. We sit there. We go, what are we going to do tomorrow? What are you going to talk about in the speech? What are you going to say this? And you go, bring, another one, bring, another one, bring, another one, and you go, we sold out. Okay, another pint, amazing. So yeah, but absolutely. Then like the morning of, I'll be on my 6th coffee. Matthew will be getting on a 2nd beer, and
It's like 9:45.
I'm shaking with caffeine shakes, and then people start rolling in, and by like if kickoff's at 5, at 3 o'clock we've got like 7 people there. We're like, oh my god! But as you say, South Africans arrive late. So then by before kickoff we've got 250.
Yeah, I mean the line at 10 to 5 is the longest it could be. 10 minutes before the game, everyone's like, "Oh, let's go now."
Yeah.
I'm like, guys, come on, you have an hour to get here. Like what's going on?
Guilty.
Yeah.
That's me.
You
I'm
come at
guys.
half time. What are you
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about?
I'm
Yeah.
wild. I'm like, what's up?
Yeah.
Who's playing? Like, literally 40 minutes
Yeah,
in.
exactly.
But it's if you know, and that's I guess that's one of the weirdly enough, like one of those upsides, downsides about running a business, the not knowing what to expect part. But then when you get something positive, you're like, oh, this is incredible. We did it. We succeeded. If you guys could like think of potentially the next person or the next stage of what your business needs, what would you say is like that? Like, what would be the next? Because you talked on regulation. So, for example, like that screams to me like, oh, you probably need like a lawyer type guy or someone who could potentially provide the expertise on that side. Of I am free. My CV will be sent to you.
Open to work.
In the morning.
Yeah.
But do you have that thing? Because I know at now we like I'm always like, we need like a sales guy. Like we need someone who can open the doors and get us into those client relationships and really knows the speak of the insurance space.
Yeah.
I need to find that guy, that kind of steward. Do you guys have that next phase?
We need an accountant.
You need an accountant. Nick has mentioned how bad he is at accounting.
Yeah,
stuff.
I've mentioned it quite a few times. Yeah, QuickBooks. We it's actually funny you say that in terms of like the next development. So we've brought on a new trustee
No way.
onto Kesho. So it's which is amazing. And I mean you can go into it more, man.
Yeah, okay. I mean,
What is
so
a trustee in the context of CIC, by the way? You said trustee?
yeah, no, so we had to bring on a new trustee because we're converting from a CIC to a CIO.
Explain.
So basically, we're currently running as a community interest company, which means that anyone who donates to us, there's no rebates. Companies can donate, but there's no rebate for them from the government. And also with us becoming a CIO from a CIC, the government gives us money based on the number of donations we bring in, which allows us to make more of a difference.
Wow. So you're saying essentially the financial impact of a CIO versus a CIC is so much more from a rebate
But the
perspective and also
regulation,
a funding perspective.
the regulations are
interesting.
far more complicated, obviously.
I would imagine. Okay,
and
that
then
makes
a
sense.
CIC is essentially a business that is it's like a non-profit business, but it makes it easy to start getting things going, right? But then from a CIO, we are then a charity. So we're currently not a charity, we're like a non-profit, whereas we'll become an actual charity. And then to do that, will obviously be like operations, but then you need to bring on a trustee of some kind.
Got it.
So that can,
Got it. Oh,
can
cool.
act as like a third party in terms of how the operations work.
Cool. I thought you guys were pulling an open AI. Do you know what they did?
No.
So they
Yeah.
So it's quite funny. So they started off as a non-profit, right? We're going to be super altruistic about AI. We want to make sure AI is like there for the world, and we're going to create for the world. And a bunch of investors invested off that basis, like Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn, Elon Musk. A bunch of people put in money, Peter Thiel, etc., on the basis that this was going to be something for the world, non-profit. They obviously released ChatGPT. It blew up. They were making money like hand over fist over hand. And they were like, oh, maybe we should change to a profit company.
Maybe we're making money out of this.
Yeah. Maybe I do need that Maybach. Maybe. And literally everyone was like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
Like Elon Musk sued them. In fact, they went to court on this. And he was like, you can't change from being a non-profit that was going to give back through AI. It's all of a sudden being like, we're going to be a closed business. So that's what the name came from, Open AI, open to everyone.
Yes.
We're going to close the business to everyone, make it private.
That
and
is
also
pretty
earn
messed up, to be
It is
fair.
very messed
That is
up.
actually messed up, yeah.
Sam Altman got a lot of flack for that. Like, he got
Yeah.
a lot of flack for making that
Sure.
switch off from it. And a lot of people left him, actually. That's why, I don't know if you saw like, the scandalous last year. They had a lot of exits because of...
Really?
Yeah, a lot. They kind of CTO left.
There's like 70% of their senior leadership staff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because of that massive change. So they eventually they curtailed to the public outcry and they changed back to
Oh, really?
non-profit.
Did
Yeah.
they- Oh, no way.
Yeah, he was.
Okay, well,
he fell back.
that's great to know. 'Cause
Yeah,
I was
so I
like,
thought you guys were gonna-
that's like an evil shift.
Yeah.
To go from a non-profit to... No, so we aren't doing that at all.
Okay.
Yeah, good. I mean, like, we could clarify that. No, we're actually moving towards more of a charitable.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay.
Just because of what Matt said about the rebates. And you do, I think... When it comes to communicating what we do, if you say you're a CIC, people go, oh, so you're just like a business. Whereas if we can say, Kesho Collective, a registered charity in the UK, that sounds way better. It sounds more attractive for donation in terms of how we
Fine, got
Yeah.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
Dope. So then, so that's the next transitional phase of Kesho
Yeah.
actually becoming, but it's like taking the full form of what it is
Yeah.
to be a charity in London, UK. Do you guys envision yourself having a South African branch, or is it really just always going to be playing yourselves out of Kesho, UK, into South Africa? Would you ever create a hub in South Africa?
Yeah, I mean, Nick, probably not. I don't think we're going to have a hub in South Africa, because the difference we can make with the donations we generate overseas,
So significant.
significantly more than what we can generate in South Africa. Yeah. So it'll literally be a drop in the ocean so we'd rather put all of our focus here. I mean, yes, we can open up a small branch that runs events for us in South Africa that is a partner, but it won't become a main.
I would, to add that on to Matthew, absolutely. From a funding model, we would never have something in South Africa, because the whole point is that we are redirecting pounds to rands.
That FX
right?
rate,
Or dollars. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because we can do a little bit here and make a lot of difference back home. The only thing I would say is that if it got to a scenario where we were raising enough money,
Excuse me, sir, where are you going?
we could. the audience is leaving.
Audience.
I would say that we might, if there was enough money coming in, we could have an operations base in SA. Like if that could happen.
Yeah, I feel like that would
we could hire South Africans sitting in South Africa who could then work with our charities better, make sure that we are procuring the right stuff, making sure we're making the right difference. But that would be like 10. That would be in a
long term view.
Yeah.
Okay, but what is the? If I can ask, because I think that's a good point. Producer, what is the exchange rate between pounds and rands right now? Is it like 23?
It's like 23.8 or something,
Yeah.
23.80.
Did it go up after the Cyril Ramaphosa's meeting with Donald? It did go up.
Oh my word!
What?
My word! No way!
That's
I
crazy.
thought Cyril backed us. I thought it would have gone down.
Oh my god! Nah, I knew it was going up. Bro. After that, when he put that video on, kidney farmer. What? I said, nah. I'm gonna send money home ASAP, because I knew that shit was. Oh shit! It's 24. Damn.
Nice. Okay.
Damn, SA.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Shut up.
Shout out, SA.
Hades.
So you guys, your business model is blowing up.
Yeah, no, it's going good. Yeah.
Till now.
Yeah. A few more interviews like that with Trump, and we are
You are golden.
we're going to turn the Eastern Cape into Dubai.
Oh my gosh. Matt, if we had a free space right now, no harm, no foul, and you could say one thing to your partner, Nick, about anything, what would that be? Anything. It could literally be anything.
I feel like it's going to
You smell funny.
It's going to be taking the
Pins out, dude.
It's so funny.
Oh my, he literally predicted that you were going to say that.
I knew that was coming out. Yeah, absolutely. I knew that was coming. And you know what's so funny is that Matthew doesn't really mention it. He just kind of does it, and I'm like, oh, I missed the train again.
No.
Oh, I missed it again.
That's the worst, because it's low-key passive-aggressive.
Yeah.
You were talking about resentment earlier?
It's so funny.
Oh,
I can't
it's
believe
hilarious.
it. Because in my mind, I'm like, this is something I have to get better at. Like, I need to. Like, Matthew's taking them out every single time. Oh,
That's hilarious. That's so funny.
But it's full. Nick said he's going to take it out. I watch him open it, close it because it's too full,
Nicholas-
and then not take it out. I was like, nah, come on. And then he puts stuff in another packet and then puts it on the floor. I'm like, rah!
Straight to jail. Straight to jail.
Straight to jail. Thing is, there'll be flies coming off it, and I'm like, oh, I'm now going to carry this thing.
But I mean, like coming to here, not having many friends here when I came. I mean, Nick.
Still not having that many.
I'm actually still riding with Nick's friends, to be honest. I mean, he introduced me to all of his mates in like the first day of me being here. And he's really helped me settle here as much as possible. And he's been a really good roommate. And working together has been amazing. You picked up a lot of flack, especially when like new job, moving to London, not enjoying it. You picked up a lot of Kesho flack when I was down, and I really, really do appreciate that.
You guys are two beautiful, beautiful boys. And thank you, Matt, for joining us. It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Good to have you here.
Yeah, I've loved it. Thank you for having me, guys. Honestly.
Amazing, amazing.